Hello and welcome to another Company of Heroes 3 game. My name is Fancy Josh, and today I've got a game for you between grun59 as our Wehrmacht. His opponent today is going to be GenObi as the US. Map today is going to be Road to Tunis. Great map, 4 quadrants, divided by these cutoff points here. The side cutoff points tend to be less important. Definitely see players fight over these cutoff points. We will see folks potentially fight over these fuel points. Yeah, just a lot of counterplay, wide open map. And as the game goes on, the fights tend to focus around this middle area, with a lot of forces focused just out of front of these players' bases, and then they'll kind of rotate to either side as the game goes on. Standard opening for both players. Our US player has gone straight for the weapons support center and picked up a heavy machine gun, adding on an engineer now. That's interesting. I'm curious what he has in mind there. Actually, you know, as I'm thinking about it, US players adding an engineer on this early, I suspect he's going to be doing some field defenses. I mean, it's possible we see a light vehicle like a Jeep. But I think it's pretty unusual. This is a really early engineer, so expecting some mines. US player going for this cutoff straight away. Trying to get that done. Grenadiers and Pioneers going to help out. And yeah, standard build from our German, right? Adding on a heavy machine gun. A lot of times you'll see German players go for a couple Grenadiers. But I'm actually thinking that he wants this heavy machine gun, and then he plans to go into this Fulsham Pioneer. Potentially. Well, we'll see what he wants to do. In any case, he's locked in the Luftwaffe battle group. Not something you see super often. I really like the Luftwaffe battle group. Just for its field defenses, I think it's really fun in 2v2 and team games in general, right? But yeah, we'll see what he's got in store for us. I think the Fallschirmjäger squad is pretty powerful, and we'll see how he wants to use that. Grenadiers already going for this fuel point. Second heavy machine gun on the way for our German, and a second heavy machine gun's already on the field for our US player. So this is, other than this engineer, this is a fairly standard build for our US player. Especially if he's thinking about going into half tracks. 75mm, of course, very popular right now, especially with this battle group, with the exchangeable parts, giving them extra flexibility. That said, our US player did just add on a barracks, so we might see some riflemen here instead. German player going for the Luftwaffe company. I suspect we'll be seeing a scout car, but could also see a Jaeger. Definitely too early for a pack, so yeah, I think we're going to see a scout car here. I think that on this particular map, scout cars are pretty good. There's not a lot of places for scary infantry to hide. It's really wide open, so the scout car has great sight lines, and especially when you're dealing with a series of heavy machine guns, it can be good to have that mobility. Okay, so very cool from our US player, adding on a mortar. That is a super early mortar. Definitely going to be good against these heavy machine guns. You know me, I love indirect fire, probably to a fault. And, yeah, so I'm excited to see him adding that on. Stealing away this cutoff point with this heavy machine gun, excuse me, this rich fuel right out front of his opponent's base there. Mortar already getting involved, blasting this building. And it does appear to be some Jaeger from our German. Maybe he's anticipating running into those half tracks a little earlier than expected. And infantry support center on the way, so I think half tracks may not be too far away. Heavy machine guns suppressing each other. US player having a slight advantage in the open, demonstrating he's not interested in fighting for that point, just gonna be captured and run. Pioneers closing the gap with these scouts. They gotta go. Nice pickup for our German player. You know, scouts, keeping your scouts alive into the late game is one of the single greatest achievements of humanity. To be perfectly honest with you, and actually, I did like the way he was using those scouts. Right, he was on the edges of the map, picking up a little bit of territory. But unfortunately for him, losing that unit. Rifleman on the way for our U.S. player. It's such a cool build. Love seeing different builds. Even if it isn't meta, or even if it's not the best build in the world, I just love seeing new stuff. And so it's cool to see opening up heavy machine guns into, sort of a smorgasbord of units there. Losing that heavy engineer on the retreat, though, is pretty devastating. And as expected, our U.S. player was planting down mines. He did add that flamethrower, so that's kind of a unfortunate loss. And actually, he didn't even get the weapon back, so it's going to be a little frustrating for him. Pioneers on this top side going to pick up this fuel point. Mortar continuing to stay active. This is what I love about mortars. I'm going to convince everyone and their mother that mortars are the perfect unit. Beyond their utility and their effectiveness against team weapons, I love how low APM they can be. Now, you can definitely use a mortar with some crazy APM, right? You can be barraging all over the place. You can be throwing down smokes. There's a lot you can do with a mortar. But at the same time, just letting it hang out in a defensive position, in a space where it can hit units from a long way away, is just so incredibly strong. So, hopefully I've convinced at least one person to give them a try. U.S. player using these riflemen to take away this point from the pioneers there. Adding back on the engineer is our U.S. player. So clearly committed to that play style. Mortar pushing away the heavy MG. Our German player has gone for 2 Jaegers and has picked up the LG recoilless rifle. My question is, what is next in that tree for him? I wonder if he's going straight for this flak. Well, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Perhaps infantry reserves. I'm really, really curious what he's got in mind. I mean, he's clearly going down that right tree with a plan, and I really want to know what the plan is. Mortar picking up a couple Jaeger models here. Mortar getting involved. Excuse me, the mine picking up a couple models. Mortar also getting involved there. This player... Well, both players are seemingly uninterested in controlling the victory points. And our U.S. player has added on a half-track here, upgrading to the anti-aircraft package to help against infantry. Now our German player does have those Jaegers already on the field, so this half-track will have to be careful in the face of those Panzerschrecks. German player stealing away this cutoff, though. Nicely done there. Going to deny his opponent all those resources on the top side. That said, our U.S. player does have a map control advantage, actually controlling 2 victory points here. This is an interesting game. A lot of times, there's always action on the sides, right? Because that's where the resources are. But typically, players care a little bit about the middle. And in this game, neither player seemingly cares about the middle, and that's kind of cool to see. Grenadiers getting suppressed by this heavy machine gun. A little surprised that the half-track isn't helping out. Maybe a little fearful of anti-tank from his opponent. Rifleman helping out. And, the unusual build continues from our U.S. player. He has gone for the bar rifles. Now, I don't think bar rifles are bad, but I've heard them described as a noob trap. I think part of the problem is they cost a lot of fuel, and I think that top-level players don't necessarily feel like that fuel investment pays back. So that's just my 2 cents. I'm curious what you think. Wow, heavy machine gun going down to this AA half-track. And these Jaegers getting pinned here, so the German is going to have to give up the spot, unfortunately for him. Doesn't look like the U.S. player might be in position to steal this heavy machine gun. More Pioneers coming in. And actually, you know, that overall, that was a pretty nice hold by our German, right? He held on to this fuel point. Black Panzer on the way now. Black Panzers are, of course, very scary in terms of their damage output. Pioneers picking up this heavy machine gun. Engineers may go down here. I don't know if it looks like there's another fight happening that our US player might be focused on. And I think those engineers, nope, they actually won the fight. Nicely done. Machine gun set up. Black AA half-track, can't see it though. Rifleman thinking about taking this fuel point away. Might happen. Heavy machine gun still reinforcing in base, so there's a chance here. And Luftwaffe officer quarters on the way to vet up those Jaegers. Gonna make them even better than they already are. Black Panzer on the scene, absolutely blasting this heavy machine gun. US player upgrading to the 75mm to deal with the Flak Panzer. Good answer there. Lets him keep it at range. Now this is such a, you know, I've talked about it before. This is an interesting dynamic to me that this trio of units has. And what I mean by that is the Flak Panzer counters the infantry that's screening for the 75mm, while the infantry, the Jaegers, are trying to close with the 75mm with, you know, to destroy it, right? It's just this little, it's this cool little dynamic. And I actually think it's a tough fight for the US, despite how good the half-track is. Because if the Germans doing it right, the half-track can't get close enough to deal with this Flak Panzer. And, yeah. Barrage coming out here. Getting a nice suppression with this heavy machine gun. Flak Panzer almost picking up that rifleman. It was actually 2 heavy machine guns making this suppression happen really quickly. And all these German units got to leave. And leave they shall. 75mm getting really aggressive, recognizing that all the AT from his opponent has retreated. Gonna protect his scouts and riflemen as they retreat. Probably not gonna get a second shot there. Is getting really aggressive here again. I mean, he's properly identified that there's no AT available. Thinking better of it now that he's seeing the heavy machine gun. Flak Panzer peeking its head out here, though. And Flak Panzer actually does a ton of damage to that 75mm, but unwilling to stick around to finish the job. Getting more good hits on that Flak Panzer there. Might actually get another one. German player going to see it here at the last second. Even if he gets another shot, should live. And yeah, what's going on down here? Engineers, looks like they managed to get a flank on a heavy machine gun, stealing that away. That's pretty annoying for our German player. Has gone for the infantry reserves. So effectively reducing the costs. That's basically what the Infantry Support Center gives you in the form of advanced logistics. But obviously this infantry reserves does not cost 70 fuel. So second 75mm on the way for our US player. Has upgraded one of his heavy machine guns to the 50 cal. Might lose it though. Those Jaegers are pretty vicious. Looks like he is going to take it, trying to wipe this engineer on its way out too. Going to be close. I think the engineer's going to live. Yeah, just... Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. Oh, man. Just barely getting it there. Pretty much the last shot from those Jaegers picking up that engineer. So that's a nice get for our German. Of course, not devastating for a U.S. player, and he is going to try and fix it here with these riflemen, but I do think that 50 cal is going to bail out. And big brawl gonna happen down here. Looks like the German player unwilling to roll with it. And while that was happening, the Flak Panzer went down, so both players trading units here. I will always take manpower for fuel. if I can get it. I don't know if that came out right. What I'm trying to say is I like destroying vehicles, and I'm okay losing a squad if it means I get to destroy a vehicle. But this is a big, scary, blinking red map for our German here. Losing his cutoff as well as all of his resources on the bottom side. 75 millimeters helping out. Trying to pin down these units in their base. Might see a barrage as these units come out of their base. And he's going to get some good hits here on the setting up heavy machine gun. Grenade going to come out as well. Might kill that 50 cal. Not quite. Not quite. So this big push from our German, of course, probably can't be stopped by our U.S. player. So I like that he's just slowing it down, right? Anything he can do to keep this territory just a little bit longer. And, you know, funny enough, our U.S. player is actually, well, I was going to say he's not connected. It would have been funny if he was connected through here, but that isn't the case. Heavy machine gun screening for this mortar. 75 millimeters coming to help out. You know, it's funny to, I don't know if it's a me problem or just the way games on this map tend to work out, but I feel like I spend a lot of my time spectating the bottom. And, I mean, there is technically stuff happening on the top, but just, you know, over the last, you know, few games I've cast on this map, I feel like players really, really like to focus this bottom side. And I don't really know why that is. Just a funny observation, I guess. Sandbags from our German player here on this central point. Love to see it. Love seeing players throw down field defenses. I don't care what it is. You got a little extra APM to shift-click some, you know, construction with your pioneers or your engineers. Highly recommend you do it. Mines, of course, excellent at slowing down pushes or flat-out stopping them. And even at their worst, they are giving you manpower for munitions, which is a great trade. Sandbags can literally win you games by holding down a critical point, so lots of good reasons to build field defenses. Barrage coming out here, absolutely wrecking that 50 cal. 50 cal is going to reposition. There was also an airburst from the U.S. mortar there doing some serious work. On that 50 cal, U.S. player is securing the bottom, while the German secures the top. U.S. player going a little aggressive here. Did manage to decrew the MG42. Jaegers trying to stop it from happening, but I don't think they can. U.S. player bailing out. Might get the MG back here. Is going to get it. Nicely done. Engineers wanting to try their luck. Also trying to pick up that 50 cal on the way out, but these Jaegers are going to stop that from happening. German player adding on the Panzer Command. Excuse me, Panzer Company. Engineers going... That's like... Is that our third? I think that's our third engineer going down this game. I mean, if you're going to pick a unit to go down, you know, a low-cost engineer is probably the one you want. It's only 180 manpower. I mean, 3 engineers does start to add up, but could be worse. And yeah, so our German might be adding on a Stohtruppen. I'm probably mispronouncing that. I really need to, you know, some squads in this game I just can't pronounce, and other squads, you know, I mean, for God's sake, there's an 8 in the middle of the word. What does that even mean? Any case, stop complaining about pronunciation. This place is looking a little bit leveled here. Kind of down to just a little bit of heavy cover in the form of these rocks. And a little bit from the sandbags here, getting suppressed. Map blinking blue on that bottom side. What does this call in here? That's the fragmentation bomb. It's going to be truly devastating. Probably going to pick up that heavy machine gun. Nicely done. Probably can't steal that away. Mortar going down as well as the heavy machine gun. Both players trying really hard to trade team weapons. Bleeding a ton of manpower both to just how much action is happening on these team weapons. Victory points starting to get a little scary for our German here. He's down to 100. He's pretty much entering the phase of the game where he has to focus on the victory points and nothing else. We'll see if he can do that. US player trying to take away this fuel. I mean, this is a great distraction, right? US player controls 2 victory points. German's a little stuck in his base, and the US player's making it tough to come out, and you love to see it. Looks like our US player is committed to saving up for that Pershing. Getting very close. He's just got, I think he's just got 2 points to go. Yeah, he does have those exchangeable parts. German player has already filled out his tree. Yeah, it feels like, I mean, it feels like our Wehrmacht player went for this strictly for these infantry resources, and I guess the fragmentation bombs. Because that's all we've seen him use from this tree. So, I mean, that's kind of cool. You know, I talk about it sometimes, but I love it when I see players use their entire tree. Like, I think a really good example of that is the espionage battle group from the Africa Corps, right? In order to use that battle group well, you have to use every single perk that they give you, right? And a lot of battle groups kind of don't need to do that. I mean, the Pershing, I mean, of course, exchangeable parts are very good, but like, and I guess the 50 cal, but you know, the whole point of this entire battle group from our US player is that Pershing, in my opinion. So I guess where I'm going with this is, it's interesting to see our Wehrmacht player only use 2. And really, it just feels like it's all about this infantry reserves. And I think it's enabling this large army here, right? I mean, he's doing pretty well on manpower despite how much he has on the field. And I really like this Stoßtruppen elite infantry here. This squad is just so stinking good. I mean, they are so lethal. If you don't respect them, you're going to die. And we see a lot of that happen to a lot of squads. Nice flank by the engineers. Pioneers, rather, getting behind that heavy machine gun. There are riflemen in the area, though. Grenadiers also giving up the territory. A second heavy machine gun setting up. So he's going to have to give up that space. And, you know, as expected, our German player is focusing these victory points. Looks like he's going to be able to hold the middle, but maybe only barely. And actually is going to get decaptured there at the same time that the top point is being decaptured. Heavy machine gun in the house flanking this other heavy machine gun. Mortars flying back and forth for both players here. And yeah, nicely done by our US player to get a couple of points here. Trooping on the bottom side, going to pick this up though. And it is going to be 1.5 to 1.5 from the looks of things. Jaeger getting suppressed there. Barrage coming out. Gonna deal with these mortars. I love how active both players are being with their barrages, right? Mortar recognizing he's getting shelled and repositioning. Another barrage coming out on the repositioned mortar. Mortar's going to have to move again. Heavy machine gun in bad shape here. Smoke grenades, I think those are from the mortar. Blocking off that heavy machine gun, nearly killing it too. Scouts in this house trying to be helpful. Heavy machine gun doing some work. German has a huge flank here. US player sees it. Bailing out now. And, you know, the more I think about our German's build, the more I like it. In retrospect, he's been relatively starved for resources. I mean, it hasn't been awful. But I would say the US player definitely has done a better job controlling the space. And our German player has, you know, gone for this infantry reserves to get the discount on maintaining his infantry, and then he's gone for 1 million infantry. I mean, we're 24 minutes in, and our German is just adding his first vehicle. I guess he did a flak panzer, but adding on a Panzer IV now. Pershing on the field here. Going to be scary for our German to deal with. Does not have a ton of great answers to this. I mean, he's got Panzerschrecks across all 3 Jaegers, and the Jaegers are very high veterancy. But the Pershing's armor is pretty stinking good. Fortunately for our German, is able to penetrate that front armor at that range. Might get another shot here. Not going to connect. Panzer IV getting aggressive despite knowing that there's a ton of bad things that can happen to him. Might lose this tank. It is going to go down here. So that's the risk of base checking with your tank there. What was he even chasing? That rifleman. I mean, we've all been there, right? We see that low health rifleman and we're like, I can definitely kill this. And then you miss one of your tank shots and you're like, okay, I'll just got to go a little bit further and I can get him. And ran right into the teeth of those 75 millimeters plus Pershing and paid for it. So it's a good thing our German likes infantry because he is back to infantry tech. A couple minutes away from another tank if he wants one. And a little bit quiet now. I mean, this is, we are definitely in scary territory. I mean, if our German takes his eye off the ball for even a little bit, it's going to be trouble. Heavy machine gun going to bail out as this Pershing gets in his face. German going to frag bomb this middle with the call-in here, but the US player is going to bail out. And that is such a massive attack. That just does huge, huge damage. Barrage coming out from these 75 millimeters, going to push the German off that center point. German doing a great job trading territory back and forth here. Seeing the sees his opponent on the top side, immediately swings down. So lovely map control here. Another heavy machine gun going down for our US player. I don't think he's going to take it with this squad here. Might send a grenadier down. Oh, he is going to do it. Okay. So the only reason I thought he wasn't is, you know, the reinforced cost of this elite infantry is a bit higher than your, you know, something like a grenadier. But didn't want to rotate any units over, and that's totally fine. Pershing hunting on this bottom side. Oddly enough, Pershing hasn't been repaired up ever since its scuffle with those Jaegers earlier. Trying to rebuild these sandbags from the looks of things, but not going to happen. Smoke grenade, going to block off those 50 cals from firing, is going to stop his opponent from capturing. Wonderfully done, right? He is currently bleeding his opponent. Heavy machine gun going to suppress these squads here. Mortar's dead. Fragmentation bombs on his supporting heavy machine gun, going to force it back. And barrage is going to completely obliterate that MG42 there. So, wow, this game has been bit of a slugfest. Both players losing some pretty valuable units at inopportune times. Our German has done a better job keeping his infantry alive in general, but the US player has done a great job at killing all the Germans' vehicles. Looks like our German player doesn't feel like remounting that mortar, although I think he should. I mean, I guess you know, he's getting outplayed by the indirect fire from his opponent. Pioneer's going to go down here. That's a bit unfortunate for him. 50 cal still chilling in the middle here. Mortar has been remounted. Machine gun going to suppress. Jaegers on the flank here are going to get outside the firing arc from the looks of things. Heavy machine gun recognizing the situation and bailing out. US player is going to end up with 2 points here for a short period of time. Looks like our German player is thinking about rotating bottom. He does have grenadiers in the area. Is going to quickly decapture this point. Pershing has something to say about it, though. Is finally repaired up by those engineers. Jaegers have a really nasty flank on this Pershing, though. Pershing actually doing the correct play here, chasing this grenadier down. Doesn't look like he's going to get it. Oh, barely right at the maximum range there. But he is surrounded by Panzerfaust here. Panzerschrecks, that is. And he is going to lose this Pershing from the looks of things. Really, really good trade for our... Oh! I was going to say engineers throwing a satchel into their own retreat path. Not losing them, though. Yeah, what a great trade for our German. I will trade a Grenadier for a Pershing any day of the week. Heck, you can have two. Grenade's going to force back this elite infantry here. Rifleman going to get up on this grenade. Fortunately for them, they're, up on this mortar. 50 cal there to support, though. Not quite going to suppress the squad on the edge. Wow, that suppression is ridiculous. So he gets a weapon suppression bonus of veterancy too, so that's really nice for him. German did walk away with 2 victory points there, so stop the bleed once again. US player is 2 minutes off a Pershing if he wants another one. And actually it's more like probably closer to 3 minutes with the attrition he's going to be dealing with. Riflemen may go down here. Yeah, looks like they are. So another good pickup for our German here. Oh, barely saved by the 50 cal. Nicely done. US player barely setting up just in time to save it. Panzer IV on the field again. Captain facing down a trooping squad and a 50 cal. Can't stay there for too long. Is going to stay for the decapture. Smoke grenade on the 50 cal, allowing this trooping to move in. 75 millimeters getting aggressive on this Panzer IV. Going to bail out now that they've been hit back. Still has vision, though. Not getting help from the second one. Is going to lose the first. And, oh, good hit on the side here from these Panzer... From the Panzer Shreks there. And is going to pick up both half-tracks. And what a turnaround in the last 3 minutes for our German. I mean, it's been loss after loss after loss for our US player. That said, he does still have a strong core, but he doesn't have an answer for that Panzer IV just yet, and it seems like our German knows it. Just sitting out there in the face of all this firepower with his tank. Not afraid of any possible DPS sources coming out just yet. And a few minutes have passed here, and our US player does not yet have enough manpower for Pershing. This is a risky building to sit in these days because of how low health it is. Pershing wreck serving to protect this heavy machine gun, adding insult to injury. Rounding the US MG manned by the German player is going to win that fight with the help of the Panzer IV. And you know what? I think that was an MG42 that was manned by our US player facing down the M1919 from our German. Nice pick up there by that airburst mortar is going to destroy that heavy machine gun. German continuing to control the victory points efficiently here. Currently has... Is that a visual glitch? Yeah. A white star, that star's white on the map, but he actually controls it, so at least I think he does. And man, turns out these 4 Jaeger squads have been MVP. Like, they have been incredibly instrumental in our Germans' victory here. And it feels like that was the game plan all along, right? It was infantry reserves, it was Jaeger after Jaeger after Jaeger, and Panzer Shreks, and it felt like they were intended for use against exactly this Pershing. Right, so Pershing getting aggressive here, fragmentation bomb, forcing the retreat on those heavy machine guns. Panzer Shreks bouncing off the front of that Pershing there. Panzer IV getting really aggressive, going to eat a shot from the Pershing. Pershing looks like he wants more. Rifleman going to have to back off. Jaegers helping to screen for the Panzer IV there. More Jaegers coming in from the top side. And, I mean, they're everywhere. He has to be really, really careful with his Pershing. Really easy to get surrounded like we saw earlier. So, our US player has 1,000,000 fan points. I think I'd like to see him go for the I think he forgot about this left side a little bit. Really like to see him go for this Black Dragon, I think, which he could use at a critical moment in this game to bring himself back into it. I think that he needs to bring all his might to bear, potentially in one area for one big push. He does have enough time to wait for that to happen. I do suppose that, you know, if he's waiting for that to happen, then his opponent can be taking territory back. So, US player definitely in a tough spot, but definitely winnable still for either player, of course. Gripen shredding those riflemen, gonna send them back to base. Heavy machine gun on the top side to slow the bleeding. German player throwing down some more sandbags in the middle. And tanks fighting each other on this top side. Pershing eating a ton of damage. Is probably gonna get away from these Jaegers that just came out of camo. Engineers choosing to screen rather than repair. I think that's a fine decision. Rifleman and captain also gonna help out, focusing down that low health Jaeger. Rifleman here in the middle trying to capture territory, but not going to happen with those pioneers. Lovely defense there. Order going to come down. Heavy machine guns suppressing the Jaegers. So actually, this is a great opportunity for our US player. German in full retreat, seemingly. Does have one heavy machine gun, but a mortar is on the scene. Spreading out here. A little bit, and our US player is so close to having enough for the Black Dragon here. I really want him to pick it up, but he did just use an ability, so maybe not going to go for that. Pershing was trying to save the Rifleman, almost worked. 2nd Panzer IV on the field, bouncing off the front of this Pershing. Pershing has to be super careful. I love that our German isn't getting greedy. I mean, it is so tempting to chase his opponent into the fog of war, right? But he doesn't know if there's mines there. He could probably safely assume there isn't an AT gun, but the truth is you don't know, right? And he doesn't have to go there, so I love that he's staying out, being conservative with his vehicles here. Jaeger's really, really stacked up, literally all 4 on top of each other, getting hit by a huge suppression here, followed by a huge mortar hit. Hold down Panzer IV here for the reduced incoming damage and range and reload speed, so really wanting to defend this point with the Panzer IV. That is not something you see very often. Gonna be pretty tough for our US player to dislodge him there. Pershing trolling around with very limited health. Looks like he wants to deal with these trooping down here that he can't remove by seemingly any other method. German player immediately recognizing it, gonna bail out. Should get out. Could get hit, though. Yeah. I mean, the Pershing just does so much damage that if he hit a clumped up unit like that, they could be done for. Fortunately for our German, not gonna happen. Captain trying to take the middle. I love the use of these pioneers to just slow it down. I also like that our Germans added another troop in here. Hauling down on this top side. And you can see where our German's drawn his lines, right? He is just going to hold those 2 points. He doesn't care about anything else. Being really annoying on the bottom side, but doesn't, you know, not sending a dedicated force down there. Just sending little one-off units. Nice smoke grenades, smoke mortars on the heavy machine gun to allow this unit to try and capture. Did manage to get the decapture, which is nice, but unfortunately for him, there's 24 or 20 Jaegers, I should say, on this bottom side that are pissed off. Airburst mortar actually completely destroying his own rifleman there. Is not quite going to be able to capture it, using the 50 cal to stop that from happening. Jaegers are going to pick up this bottom point from the looks of things. And I think the writing is on the wall for our US player. What a great game. What a fantastic game. Cool build from both players. You know, I think ultimately our US player got to that typical, you know, heavy machine gun and half-track composition that you see in a lot of US games just because of how good it is. But he opened this game so cleverly, right? I thought it was really fun seeing that early engineer despite him losing it. And what an interesting build from our Wehrmacht player. I think it was, it felt like he had a plan the whole time. And interestingly enough, he only needed just a couple of the the battle group options out of the entire battle group, and he made him work for him. So I hope you guys enjoyed this game as much as I did, and I will see you in the next one.